course, it feels like it's going to continue throughout the NFL offseason, and we'll see where it ends up when the season does begin. Keyshawn, J. Will, Zubin, Alan Hahn in for Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join us on the Goodyear Hotline and 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776 for you to join the conversation. So it's now become a thing where Aaron Rodgers' phone is blowing up, as everybody is apparently that has ever played with him is texting him, trying to get information and relaying that information, including a Hall of Fame quarterback in Brett Favre. You just heard that on the intro there in the show. But beside that, there's this question, and I was so curious, guys, to just see what is the reaction in Green Bay. Like, that's what I really want to know, because nationally it's a different kind of story. But just locally, the bloggers, the diehard fans, the ones that provide any type of content they can as fans, they're the ones that you can really feel like they have the pulse of the fan base. And it still feels like Aaron Rodgers is not getting the vitriol at all about wanting out, basically turning his back kind of on the franchise, on the fan base that loves him. He wants out of there. He's trying to protect the message by saying it's nothing to do with the fans. He loves the fans. All that stuff comes out. But I just found it interesting that there doesn't seem to be any negative reaction towards him. And, as we've said, and Jay, you've said this a couple of times, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. But I don't know if he's ever going to be a villain in Green Bay, even if he forces his way out of there.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think a lot is still to be determined as it relates to Aaron Rodgers. I think at the beginning of this whole thing, I'm still very player-centric. I'm always on the side of the player for the most part. 99%, Key and I have those experiences. But I think as more information comes out, I start to ask myself the question, look, they offered him, it may have taken them a while to get there, a huge contract, right? Probably bigger than Patrick Mahomes or somewhere close.
That's the report, yep.
That's the report. They've given him, how many, we always said, hey, give him more assets, give them more weapons offensively. They were in an NFC Championship game multiple times. There was a third down play that we can go back to where punch it in there, Aaron Rodgers. I know lack of communication on fourth down, and, I get all that. But, what else do you need them to do? And I understand the trust is lost there, but there is a certain element, this is what relationships, these things occur. Miscommunication occurs. At least they're showing guilt and saying, hey, we messed up. We're trying to find a way to fix it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see and feel what fans feel as it relates to Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be tough.
It's only been a week.
It feels like it's been a damn year.
It already does.
It does.
It's been a week.
It already does. What does he have to do, Keith?
A week from a public standpoint,
yeah,
right?
Right.
It's only been a week.
Right.
And the longer it festers, the louder it gets. The closer we get to the season and it's not resolved, then that's when you start to hear people, players, fans. That's when you start to hear who does he think he is, da-da-da-da. You start to hear more of that. Every now and then you might get one or two 19, 20 dudes running their mouth that's old and just mad about whatever in the world. But I'm talking about his peer group of individuals around the league, because at that point, they've had time to now compare other people's situations that were similar to Aaron Rodgers that the noise was loud about. You look at where Aaron Rodgers is in his career. Yes, right now he's not getting any blowback because he's in Green Bay. The fans are still holding out hope that he's going to be underneath the center on opening day in September. That may or may not be the case. The closer they get to realization that that's probably not the case, the louder you're going to start to hear the Green Bay fans not like him or whatever the case is. And if he really wants out, he's going to have to,
get dirty.
Not necessarily get dirty, just really tell him, I don't care.
I want out.
I want out.
I want out.
And he may have told
But he's
them
saying
that
it through
already.
other people, right? Other people are presenting that in the media. He's not doing it because once he says it, that's, I think, when everybody turns on him.
it just feels like there's a little bit of this, and I know he's trying to, do a right public perception to a degree, but it feels like there's a little bit of this passive-aggressive strategy here, where it's like, I'm going to look like I'm not angry, but inside, I'm really, really pissed off.
Why is it passive-aggressive? Because he hasn't said anything publicly?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't need to
He's
say
hosting
anything.
Jeopardy.
But I don't need to say anything. I can keep a poker face on. I don't have to tell you what's going on right now. The season doesn't start till September. We've got a long ways to go. For all I know, the general manager may decide to quit.
But Keith,
May just decide to say, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
So now I done already said I don't want to be here. And for all we know, he may quit.
We're masters at communication and masters at the way the media works. The longer you don't say stuff is the longer all this stuff continues to fester. What are we going to do every damn day, Alan?
Right.
We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and every small thing. The Kentucky Derby. Oh, where's his fiance live? She lives in Colorado. Are you putting together? We're going to map this whole thing out. Mm-hmm. We're going to do this
west.
Out, whatever you want to call
it.
Is it west? I don't know. I'm confused.
But what's going to happen is what's happening now. Is everybody that played with him or everybody that knows him is texting him. And that includes Brett Favre.
Yes.
Right? And Brett Favre now is becoming sort of the mouthpiece in a certain way.
Y'all about to get the realness on this show.
This will be Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. So here's Brett Favre in ESPN Wisconsin talking about it said he did text with Aaron Rodgers, and this is not based on what Rodgers told him, but this is what Brett Favre thinks he's going to do.
I think I know Aaron fairly well, and honestly, I just don't see him coming back and just saying, all right, let's bury the hatchet, whatever caused the rift. I'm just going to come back and play because I love the guys. I love the Green Bay fans. I assume that he does. His rift isn't with the fans nor the players. It's with the front office, so will he just swallow his pride and come in? Maybe, but I don't see that happening. If there's not a trade, my gut tells me that he'd rather sit out than play.
My gut tells me he'd rather sit out than play. He also said that he was jokingly texting him about him, are you going to come down here, meaning New Orleans, and play for the Saints? And he said that Favre told him not likely to happen. That's Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Brett Favre is one. There are others who have said they've texted with him and pretty much getting the same answer.
Can I? I said a couple of days in the show, I was like, I wonder how Brett Favre's going to, articulate this whole experience. Because I knew how he articulated the Deshaun Watson experience before all these allegations came out.
Oh, you mean when he said
I think you get paid a ton of money to do a certain job and do it and let the chips fall where they may. I think we make way too much money to voice an opinion, but I'm not saying he's wrong. Again, I think it's a different day and a time, and it will be interesting to see how the organization handles it. Yo, I'm going to tell you, like, as a black man, like, hearing the way people articulate black athletes sometimes in their experiences as opposed to the white athletes and experience. And I'm not the person that goes to race all the time. And I know people have fatigue about this type of conversation. It's not the same luxury, man. It's not the same luxury. It's like, why is Deshaun Watson holding this team hostage? Why is he doing all these different things to the Houston Texans? He doesn't want to be part of the team. Get rid of him. And Aaron Rodgers is like, well, what did the organization do? Man, this organization had to mess up. What went down? It's not the same luxury, Key.
It's not, but what I would say is Favre is an ex-teammate of Aaron Rodgers with a somewhat of a relationship. He doesn't have any relationship with Deshaun Watson.
So it's easy to speculate on somebody you don't have a relationship with.
To be fair, he did walk back those comments
It's
afterwards,
easier.
admitting he didn't know all the details.
It's easier to attack somebody that you don't have a relationship with, a teammate with, that you may not run into 13 weeks out of 17 weeks. It's just an easier avenue to go after somebody from a distance opposed to Aaron Rodgers that's up close.
In your backyard.
But to your point, the noise level on an Aaron Rodgers is somewhat subdued, where the noise level